The day I buried my daughter, the world lost its color. Her name was Emily Hart, my only child, my pride, my reason for breathing. She was 32, too young, too kind, too trusting. Her death came like a thief in the night, unexpected and cruel. The heart attack was sudden, the doctor said. But something in me refused to believe that. Emily had always been strong, body, mind, and spirit. I stood by her grave as the autumn leaves swirled around my boots, the sky gray and unforgiving. The whispers of mourners blurred into silence. I didn't care about condolences or empty promises. I only cared that my daughter was gone, and I hadn't been there to protect her. 3 days later, her lawyer called. Mr. Hart, you should come in. Emily left something for you. It's urgent. When I walked into Jenkins and Lowell Law Firm, I expected a small inheritance, maybe her car, maybe her books, or the house she loved so much. But what the lawyer told me made my blood run cold. Your daughter left you $34 million, sir. I thought I misheard him. 34 what? Million, Mr. Hart. In her will, she clearly stated that the entire estate, including her business shares, investments, and properties, are to go to you. The papers lay on the desk, stamped, sealed, and verified. I stared at them, numb. My daughter had been the founder of Hart Solutions, a successful tech firm she'd built from scratch after her divorce 6 years ago. I knew she was doing well, but 34 million. That was beyond anything I imagined. She left me everything. I asked quietly. Yes, everything. She said you'd know what to do with it. For days, I wandered the empty halls of her mansion, trying to feel her presence. The scent of her perfume still lingered on the curtains, her laughter echoed faintly through old voicemails. But as grief slowly gave way to reflection, another feeling began to rise, suspicion. Her ex-husband, Lucas Trent, had been trouble since day one. Charming, handsome, smooth-talking, but rotten to the core. I never trusted him, and when he left Emily after cheating and draining her accounts, I wanted to destroy him. But Emily begged me not to. He's not worth it, Dad, she said then. Let karma handle it. Karma took its time. 6 long years passed. I thought we'd seen the last of him. Until one morning, I woke to the sound of tires on gravel outside Emily's mansion. I looked through the window and froze. A black Mercedes pulled up, and from it stepped a man I wished I'd never see again, Lucas Trent. He was dressed in a tailored suit, sunglasses on, that same smirk glued to his face. He looked around the property like it was still his. I clenched my fists. When he saw me step out onto the porch, he smiled wider. Well, if it isn't dear old Mr. Hart. Still living off Emily's charity, I see. I wanted to punch that smug grin off his face. You have no right to be here, I growled. He raised an eyebrow. Oh, I think I do. You see, Emily and I were married, and as her legal husband at the time of her company's founding, I still hold certain rights. Rights, I spat. You divorced her, Lucas. You left her with nothing but a broken heart. He stepped closer. And she built her empire during our marriage. Which means I'm entitled to half. My lawyers are already working on it. My chest tightened, anger surging like fire. Over my dead body. He laughed. Don't tempt me, old man. I'll get what's mine. Then he walked back to his car, leaving a trail of arrogance in his wake. As his engine roared away, I felt something inside me ignite, a promise, cold and sharp. He thought he could steal from my dead daughter. He thought he could use the law to rob her memory. But he didn't know who he was dealing with. I wasn't just Emily's father. I was Daniel Hart, a retired detective with 30 years of experience, and I knew how to find the truth, even when people buried it deep. That night, I sat in Emily's study, staring at her photo. Don't worry, sweetheart, I whispered. He won't touch a penny. Not while I'm alive. I started digging. First, through her emails, bank statements, and phone records. Then her company files. Every document told a story, a quiet, deliberate pattern. Something didn't add up about her death. Her health reports were clean. But 2 days before she died, she'd filed a restraining order against Lucas Trent. My pulse pounded. He had been in contact with her before she died. I leaned back, gripping the edge of the desk. Maybe Emily hadn't just left me her fortune. Maybe she'd left me a trail to justice. And if Lucas really had something to do with her death, then he had just declared war on the wrong man. The restraining order changed everything. It wasn't just a piece of paper, it was a warning. Emily had feared something, someone. And now, I knew who. I drove to the county courthouse the next morning and requested all files connected to Emily's restraining order. The clerk hesitated, recognizing my name, but handed them over. The report said she'd filed it 2 days before her death, claiming that her ex-husband, Lucas Trent, had been calling, following, and threatening her for weeks. My hands trembled as I read her words. Greater than, he says I'll regret keeping him out of the company. He says he'll take everything back, even if it kills me. Even if it kills me. Those 6 words hammered into my skull like nails. I stared at them until my vision blurred, rage burning deep in my gut. Emily had reached out to the police, but they hadn't acted in time. No evidence of immediate threat, they'd written. Typical. I left the courthouse with one mission: expose Lucas for what he'd done. First, I contacted an old friend, Detective Sarah Reed, still active on the force. She owed me a favor from years back. When I told her what I'd found, her voice dropped low. Danny, I shouldn't be saying this, but Lucas was questioned briefly after Emily's death. Coroner ruled it natural, but Lucas had been seen near her house 2 nights prior. No proof he entered, though. Did they test for toxins? I asked. They didn't. Heart attack was accepted as the cause. You know how that goes. I did. Too many cases closed too soon. I hung up and sat in my car outside the courthouse, gripping the wheel until my knuckles whitened. He had been there. He'd stalked her, threatened her, and 2 days later, she was dead. That night, I started following Lucas. Old habits die hard. My detective instincts came roaring back like a second heartbeat. I trailed him from his fancy downtown condo to bars, restaurants, and meetings. He strutted through life like a man who thought he was untouchable. But I was patient. Predators always expose themselves when they feel safe. After 3 nights, my patience paid off. Lucas met a man at a dimly lit bar, a slick-looking accountant type with shifty eyes. I took a seat near the back, recording the conversation from my phone. 34 million, Lucas whispered. I don't care what you have to do, I want access to it. The will's in probate, but I'll find a loophole. Emily owed me that fortune. The accountant shook his head nervously. That money's protected, Lucas. She moved her assets months before her death. Some trust fund in her father's name. That old fool won't live long enough to spend it, Lucas interrupted, smirking. My jaw clenched. That was the last confirmation I needed. He wasn't just after Emily's fortune. He was after me. I followed the accountant when he left the bar, cornered him in the parking lot, and flashed my old badge. I'd kept it for moments like this. Name's Daniel Hart, I said, voice low but firm. You want to avoid real trouble, tell me what Lucas hired you for. The man froze, sweat already beading on his forehead. Look, I just move money. Offshore accounts, legal gray zones. He said it was inheritance stuff, I swear. Did he mention Emily's death? I pressed. The man hesitated. That told me everything. He said, she shouldn't have fought him. That she made things hard. He said he made it quick. My blood went cold. That night, I sent the recorded bar conversation and the accountant's confession to Detective Reed. She promised to reopen Emily's case under the radar. But I wasn't satisfied. I needed more evidence, proof, justice, not courtroom justice, but something rawer, older, and fairer. 2 days later, Lucas's lawyer served me a legal notice. He was suing for half of Emily's company assets. I almost laughed at the audacity. He wanted war. He'd get one. I dug into Emily's old files again, this time searching for backup drives and hidden folders. That's when I found something remarkable, a folder titled, Insurance. Inside were dozens of voice recordings, journal entries, and messages Emily had left herself. Her voice, calm yet anxious, filled the room. Greater than, if anything happens to me, it's Lucas. He's been blackmailing me, trying to sell my company's data. I caught him years ago, but he still has people. If I die, Dad, find the proof. Don't let him win. Tears blurred my eyes. My daughter had known she was in danger, and she trusted me to finish what she started. The last file was a hidden camera video from her home office. Dated 2 nights before her death. The footage showed Lucas forcing his way in, shouting. I couldn't hear everything, but the words, my company, and my money, were clear. He grabbed her arm, she shoved him away, and the video cut off. I saved everything onto multiple drives. Now I had what I needed, evidence that tied Lucas directly to her death. The next morning, I met him face to face at the probate court. He walked in confident, his lawyer trailing behind him like a shadow. Well, old man, he said, ready to lose everything. I smiled coldly. No, Lucas, I'm ready to bury you. He frowned. What the hell does that mean? I handed the judge's clerk a sealed envelope. New evidence, Your Honor. Video, audio, and witness testimony connecting Mr. Trent to the deceased's unlawful death. Lucas's smirk vanished as the courtroom fell silent. His lawyer's eyes went wide. He had finally realized, this wasn't a lawsuit anymore. It was a trap. And I'd just sprung it. Lucas's confident smirk crumbled into shock as the judge examined the sealed envelope. The courtroom, once a place he thought he could manipulate, turned into his cage. Mr. Hart, Judge Wallace said, glancing at me over his glasses, you're submitting this as new evidence in connection to the probate and potential criminal investigation. Yes, Your Honor, I replied calmly. It concerns the death of my daughter, Emily Hart. Lucas's lawyer shot up from his seat. Objection. This is outrageous, irrelevant to the probate hearing. The judge raised a hand. Overruled. The court will review the evidence privately. The clerk carried the envelope to the bench, and I could see Lucas's throat tighten. His hands fidgeted, his polished composure slipping piece by piece. When the judge finished watching the footage, he leaned back in silence. The tension in the room was heavy enough to choke on. This court, he said slowly, finds that this matter cannot proceed until the allegations within this evidence are fully investigated by the district attorney's office. Lucas jumped to his feet. That's ridiculous. He's fabricating this. Sit down, Mr. Trent. The judge snapped. Until further notice, all probate proceedings are suspended. You are not to access, claim, or move any of Emily Hart's assets. The gavel came down hard. Lucas turned to glare at me, eyes burning with rage. This isn't over, he hissed under his breath. I smiled faintly. You're right. It's just beginning. 2 days later, I met Detective Reed at the station. She looked exhausted but satisfied. The DA's office is taking it seriously, she said, handing me a file. Your video, the accountant's testimony, and Emily's recordings, it's airtight. Lucas will be facing second-degree murder charges, financial fraud, and coercion. I let out a long breath. Finally. But Reed's face darkened. There's more. We traced payments from Lucas to an offshore account belonging to one of Emily's former employees, a chemist named Raymond Cole. He disappeared the same week Emily died. My gut twisted. So, she didn't just die of a heart attack. Reed nodded grimly. We think she was poisoned. A cardiac toxin, undetectable in standard tests. The coroner is reopening the autopsy. I gripped the edge of her desk. You find that man, Sarah. Don't stop until you do. She gave me a firm nod. We will. But be careful. Lucas is desperate now. Desperate men do stupid things. She was right. That night, I drove home through the empty countryside road leading to Emily's estate. The wind howled against the trees, and the house stood silent, its windows glimmering in the moonlight. As I stepped inside, something felt wrong. The lights flickered. A faint smell of gasoline hit my nose. Then I heard it, the creak of a floorboard upstairs. I reached for the drawer near the hall table, where my old service pistol lay locked. My heart pounded steady and hard, every instinct screaming trap. Come out, Lucas, I called. You've got 2 seconds before I make it your last night on Earth. A slow laugh echoed down the staircase. Then he appeared, disheveled, eyes bloodshot, holding a small silver lighter in one hand. Your daughter took everything from me, he snarled. Then you took what was left. I'm not walking away with nothing. The faint shimmer of spilled gasoline stretched across the floor. One flick and the whole house would go up in flames. I kept my voice calm. You think burning her home will change anything? You've already lost, Lucas. The police have everything. The video, the witness, the money trail. He shouted, voice cracking. Lies. You faked it all. I made her. She was nothing without me. I took a slow step forward, keeping my eyes on the lighter. You didn't make her. You broke her. And she built herself back stronger. That's what really killed you. He gritted his teeth and flicked the lighter open. A small flame danced in the air. Say goodbye, old man. Before he could drop it, I lunged forward, years of training guiding my body. I slammed into him, knocking the lighter from his hand. It clattered across the floor, the flame snuffing out. Lucas roared, throwing a wild punch. I blocked it, then hit him square in the jaw. He stumbled, but I didn't stop. The rage of 6 years, the grief of losing my daughter, all came crashing through my fists. Finally, he collapsed, coughing, bleeding, gasping like the coward he was. Sirens wailed in the distance. I hadn't even realized Reed had sent a patrol to watch my property, she must have known he'd come for me. When the officers burst in, they found me standing over him, chest heaving. Mr. Hart, one of them said carefully, you're all right. I nodded slowly. I am now. Lucas was dragged away in cuffs, screaming curses that echoed through the night. 3 months later, the case went to trial. The evidence was overwhelming. The video, the accountant's testimony, the toxicology report confirming the poison. Lucas's lawyers tried everything, but the jury saw through him in less than 2 hours. Guilty. As the verdict was read, I felt Emily's presence beside me. For the first time in years, the heaviness in my chest began to fade. After the trial, I stood outside the courthouse, watching the world move again. The wind was gentle that day, sunlight breaking through gray clouds. Detective Reed approached quietly. You did it, Danny. She can rest now. I smiled faintly. She left me $34 million, Sarah. But the truth, that was the real inheritance. She nodded and walked away, leaving me alone with my thoughts. That evening, I returned to Emily's grave. I placed a single white rose on the headstone and whispered, it's over, sweetheart. He'll never hurt anyone again. I turned to leave but stopped for a moment, looking up at the horizon. Justice didn't bring Emily back. Nothing ever could. But it brought peace, and that was enough. I decided then to use her fortune the way she would have wanted. I founded the Emily Hart Foundation, dedicated to helping women escape abusive relationships and rebuild their lives. As the first sunrise touched the memorial garden, I could almost hear her laugh again, soft and warm in the morning light. She was gone, but her strength lived on. And as for Lucas Trent, the man who thought he could steal from my daughter and silence her forever, he learned too late that he'd messed with the wrong dad.